Basically, the vegetables go in here, and then they might say, well, I want you to put an X on all different fruits. So I'll put X over here, and see, that's an apple. So I'll put X there. So they can have an exercise that's simple. So, or they can actually write what these actually are. So you have the ability to have an exercise of that format. Now this background I created myself. I brought it from PowerPoint. So you can do things like this. So like you can make it a lot more attractive and nicer looking. This year we actually have an exercise where we're not only going to write down the names of each different fruit or vegetable, but also we'll do a couple of things that are pretty interesting. But we have another tool here, and it's called Screen Record. Now, what Screen Record will do is actually going to record everything I'm going to do. It's almost like the playback feature, but this year you can actually record from screen to screen to screen. So it's very versatile. So all I have to do is press this button right here to record. And how do I know I'm recording? Well, it gives me a little status screen right up here. So at any point in time, I can go there and stop it, I can pause it, I do whatever I like to the recording. In this case here, since it's recording, we're looking at all these different placards. Now, we have a couple of bugs up here, and what I want to do is I really want to get rid of them. So what I'll do, if I can use this side, is I can actually move them around. I can increase the size, lower the size, make them smaller, make them bigger. I can move them out of the way like this. I can bring this one and do the same thing with this one here. This bug, I think I'll leave it there. The grasshopper's not doing any harm, so I'll move them out of the way so I can have more free space. So I'll actually go over here. And I will pick a pen, let's say a normal pen, and pick a blue, for example. And this over here, okay, we have tomatoes. So we can have the students come up here and actually write the terms on each one of these placards. For example, right down here you have red peppers, and so forth. So we can take that effort, or we can have them come in here and say, well, circle again all the vegetables, or circle all the fruits. So we can do that also in this exercise. We have a list up there of quite a few different terms. We could also have them say, okay, take the line here for green peppers, and go here, and draw a straight line to those, to the pears, and go over here, and so forth. So we could connect the words to all the pictures, and all the lines here connect to the different pictures, like I said. So we have 3 different exercises that we can do. Once we finish, then all we have to do is go back to the menu. We can stop it, and it has a list of all the different recordings that I've done thus far. And it'll always have the most current one up here. So I'll press that. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and play back everything I've done. Okay. As we can see, it's starting to count down all the different activity and exercises. Get out of the way here. So it's writing the tomato sign first, and then come over here and write the red pepper that we did previously. And I'll kind of move this along here a little bit faster so we can move along. But you pretty much get the idea. It's played back everything we've done before. So that's the screen record feature, which is pretty helpful. Then we'll go next. Get rid of that there. Now this right here is an exercise where we're going to use a couple of features. Number one is we'll take a look at the tools and maybe use a magnifier. This magnifier basically allows me to go in here and pretty much magnify whatever I want to focus on. For example, right in here in New York, there's a couple of islands, so I may want to take a look at that a little bit closer. This will magnify everything 4 times, up to 4 times the magnification. So we could do that, or for example, we could use let's go to the searchlight. Now the searchlight allows me to, let's increase the size of my searchlight here. I can take the searchlight and go all around the country and take a look at states, maybe 3, 4 at a time, and view whatever states I want to look at. The problem, I think, is doing this myself is that everything's blacked out, so I don't get to see the relationship of these states to the other states. So in here I can go and look at the transparency feature, and if I use it 40% transparency, I can actually dim the lights back there and still look at all these different states, and you can see some of the states are back here. So I can dim the lights, if you will, and take a look at the states in relation to the ones that we're focusing on. So that's called the searchlight feature, which is pretty helpful. It's pretty nice. Then we also have the ability to go in here. For example, I've already pre-done this between Montana, Hawaii, and New York. I've actually built in a hyperlink that allows me to press this button right here, and I have a hyperlink set up to the internet to go into a video in YouTube that gives us a little bit of information about Montana. I did the same thing with Hawaii, and I did the same thing with New York. You can do this for the whole country if you have time, but for the sake of time, I just used 3 different states. So this is actually running a video for Montana. So we could do that, and the video is roughly about 1.5 minutes. So for the second time, I'll end it right now. So like this, we can move on. But you have the ability to do that to all the states. What this allows you to do is have an exercise for some geography class where you actually have YouTube videos embedded in hyperlinks in all the different states. So the next day, you could maybe go into Kansas, Colorado, or any other state. Press that and take a look at some information about that particular state. So it's pretty helpful, pretty strong function. This right here, we're taking a look at potentially an architecture or construction class. So what we'll do here is take a look at some of the additional tools that we can use. Let's say, for example, we want to use, let's say, a protractor. So this protractor allows me to go in here, and let's say I want to use a different color other than blue backgrounds, otherwise you won't be able to see it. Let's say yellow. And this will allow me to actually take the protractor, let's say I want to do a 120-degree angle, draw one. This will allow me to do that. Once I've done that, I can move this out of the way. Oops. I've got to tell it that I want an angle. It doesn't know, it can't read my mind. So there we go. If you have to do, you have to tell it what you want. You have the ability to either do angles or arcs. So in this case here, I told it with the menu option, I want an angle. So now you have the angle built, and you can actually shorten it. You could, you could put it, move it around. You can do quite a few things with it. this compass here allows you basically also to you can make it shorter or smaller, or you can make it larger, whichever the case may be. You could also make it inverted, so in case you want to make below the axis here, make a different type of an angle. So you can do that. You can also erase this. And like I said, you can also move it out of the way. Let's take a look at borrowing another tool. Let's say, let's say the compass, for example. So now we can get this compass, and let's bring it over here. And hopefully we have the same color. And you can actually create a circle. You can move the compass over here. Create another circle. And let's say I want to draw a straight line between it, so I can go into Tools and use the, segment. The segment, and I want to make sure I have the right color. Go here and draw a straight line between both circles. So this, I can show the relationship between two circles and a straight line, whatever the case may be. So now you have a lot of different variety of tools that you can use in the relationship for either a construction or architecture class. Pretty helpful, pretty nice. This here, for example, in a dental class, you may want to show different teeth and what they're called and have different exercises, but it looks a little cluttered. It looks too much information on the screen. So we may want to subdivide the screen. We may want to use a tool called screen curtain. The screen curtain basically is a gray screen that covers the whole entire display. What you can do is you can come down here and move this down, the curtain, so you can focus on the upper half of the mouth, or you can put that back up and maybe focus on the bottom half of the mouth. And at the same time, I've actually incorporated you have a hide feature that allows you to hide the answers to some of these questions. So you may have questions for this right here, and once you want the answer, you go in there and you quiz the students. You ask them, what's the answer to that? And they say the proximal, then they got the right answer. So if I want to hide that again, all I have to do is press this button right here, and go into, it says show and hide, press that, and say icon, and cover it all over again. So now I can save it for maybe another student, another class, whichever the case. So now you can hide those all over again once they know the answer to that question. Very helpful. Okay. By the way, you can move this curtain left, right, up and down, whatever the case, whatever you like to do. And then once you're through with it, all you have to do is press that and it goes away. There's another function here in the tools, and it's called timer. That basically allows you to use a timer, and you can actually, the type of timer you want to use is maybe a countdown. So now, for example, here it says 3 minutes. So what I can do is I can start the clock, it starts counting down, and the previous exercise I can start asking them, okay, what's the answer to this question here? And they have 3 minutes to figure it out. And once they do, then once they come up with the answer, I press that, and if that's the right answer, then great. So I pause that, and then I reset it again, and they come up with, I give them another 3 minutes for another question. So you can use that timer. It's pretty helpful, very nice to have, very simple to use, and you can get rid of it very easily. So in this case here, in fact, let me go back a second here and show you a couple of other things. We also have the ability in here. We have a library of different objects. In fact, the multimedia, I failed to mention that. When we have the picture of all the different insects, you're probably wondering where I get all those insects. Well, we have a library of hundreds and thousands of different icons, pictures, graphics. And what I've done is I went into this right here, and I actually went in and got the wrong one there, animals. That's the wrong one. winter insects. And here they are. So I picked all these different bugs and butterflies and what have you and put those on the screen. All we have to do is press those, pick them, and they'll display on the screen, and away I go. So we have a library of all those